Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes. Carl Jung. These words are not just poetic reflections. They are an invitation, a challenge, even a warning. Think for a moment about how much of your life has been shaped by what the world expects of you. Your roles, your successes, your failures, the endless comparisons that never seem to end. We are trained to believe that happiness, meaning, and even identity are waiting for us out there somewhere, in the approval of others or in the next milestone we achieve. But what if Jung was right? What if the real answer, the true turning point, lies not outside but deep within you, hidden behind the noise, the masks, the stories you've been told about who you should be? Imagine the quiet strength of a person who no longer chases validation, who no longer fears the shadows inside, but who finally stands rooted in their authentic self. That kind of presence does not need to perform, does not need to shout. It simply is. And that, Jung believed, is the awakening. The moment when you stop dreaming someone else's dream and start living your own truth. This is the secret to unlocking your true self, not becoming someone different, but remembering the wholeness you've carried all along. Today we're going to uncover this secret together, exploring Jung's timeless insights and how they can guide you into a deeper, more authentic way of living. And if this journey speaks to you, if you want to keep exploring wisdom that truly transforms the way you see yourself and the world, then I invite you to subscribe so you never miss a step on this path of self-discovery. Carl Jung was not just another psychologist tucked away in the history of ideas. He was a pioneer, a man who dared to look into the deepest corners of the human soul and give language to what most people were afraid to even acknowledge. Born in Switzerland in 1875, Jung became one of the most influential figures in modern psychology. A student and later a bold critic of Freud, but above all the founder of what we know as analytical psychology. His life's work revolved around one central idea, that much of who we are is hidden from our own conscious awareness. Beneath the surface of our daily thoughts and routines, there exists a vast inner world, the unconscious, where forgotten memories, suppressed desires, unexplored potentials, and even universal human patterns, which he called archetypes, live and shape our existence. Jung believed that if we want to truly understand ourselves, we cannot limit our view to what is visible on the outside, nor can we reduce our identity to the roles we play in society. Instead, we must look deeper, beyond the masks, into the self that is whole and unbroken. And here lies the key. Jung made a distinction between different layers of the self. On the surface, we have what he called the persona, the mask we present to the world, the version of ourselves that is acceptable, polished, and shaped to meet the expectations of others. We all wear this mask, and it is not inherently wrong. In fact, it helps us function in society, maintain relationships, and navigate everyday life. But the danger comes when we confuse this mask with our true identity, when we begin to believe that the role we play is the totality of who we are. Beneath the persona, Jung described another dimension, the shadow. This is made up of the parts of ourselves we hide, suppress, or deny, the emotions, desires, and traits that we have been taught are unacceptable, shameful, or too dangerous to express. For many of us, the shadow is uncomfortable territory because it forces us to confront aspects of ourselves we would rather pretend do not exist. Yet Jung argued that ignoring the shadow only gives it more power over us. Real growth begins when we face it, when we acknowledge that these hidden parts are not enemies, but pieces of a greater whole. And beyond both the persona and the shadow, there exists what Jung called the self, the true self, the complete totality of who you are, a synthesis of both the conscious and the unconscious, the light and the dark, the known and the unknown. To Jung, this self was not just a psychological construct, but almost a spiritual reality, the inner center that gives meaning and order to our lives. It is the part of us that longs for wholeness, the part that calls us inward when everything on the outside feels shallow or unsatisfying. And why does this matter? Because without this connection to the true self, we remain fragmented, restless, and often lost. We chase achievements, relationships, and distractions, but still feel an emptiness that nothing external can fill. Jung observed this in countless patients, people who outwardly seemed successful, admired, or even envied, but inwardly felt divided, anxious, or incomplete. He understood that the absence of connection to the true self is what fuels so much of the suffering in modern life. Addiction, depression, burnout, a sense of alienation that no amount of money or recognition can cure. On the other hand, when we begin the journey of discovering the self, something remarkable happens. The endless noise of comparison and external expectation quiets down, and a sense of inner harmony takes its place. Life does not suddenly become perfect, but it becomes meaningful. We stop living someone else's script and begin living our own. This is why Jung's message remains timeless, because it speaks to a universal hunger. At some level, we all feel that we are more than the masks we wear, more than the shadows we hide, and we yearn for that deeper, authentic alignment. To unlock the true self is to finally find a home within yourself, a place of wholeness where nothing essential is missing. And that, Jung believed, is the privilege of a lifetime, not to become someone else, but to become who you truly are. If Jung gave us a map of the inner world, then the question becomes, how do we walk it? Knowing that the true self lies beyond the mask of the persona and the shadows we hide is one thing, but living in alignment with that self is something else entirely. Jung believed this was not a quick fix or a motivational trick. It was a lifelong journey of what he called individuation, the process of becoming whole. And this journey begins with perhaps the most uncomfortable step of all, confronting the shadow. Shadow work is not about eliminating your flaws or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing that the parts of yourself you deny hold just as much truth as the parts you proudly display. Anger, jealousy, fear, insecurity. These emotions are not evidence of weakness, but signals pointing towards something unresolved inside you. One of the simplest but most powerful practices is journaling. The next time you feel triggered by someone, instead of brushing it off or projecting the blame outward, write down exactly what you felt and why. Ask yourself where this reaction comes from, what memory it connects to, what fear it might reveal. Over time, patterns will emerge, and you'll begin to see that the shadow is not a monster to defeat, but a teacher offering lessons in self-awareness. The second key practice is to listen to your dreams. Jung saw dreams not as random images, but as messages from the unconscious, symbols and stories that reveal what your waking mind cannot. You don't have to be a psychologist to benefit from this. Keep a notebook by your bed, and when you wake up, jot down whatever fragments you remember, no matter how strange or trivial they seem. Later, reflect on them. You'll notice recurring themes, emotions, or characters, and often they point directly to what your conscious mind is avoiding. This practice deepens the conversation with yourself, building a bridge between the surface of your awareness and the depths beneath it. But Jung also warned of an important balance. The inner journey is essential, yet it cannot replace life in the external world. If you hide only in introspection, you risk becoming detached, living in your head while neglecting relationships, responsibilities, and the richness of shared experience. On the other hand, if you live only for society's approval, wearing the persona day after day without ever checking in with yourself, you will eventually feel hollow and disconnected. The task then is to find balance. Give time to your inner world without abandoning the outer, and live in society without losing yourself in it. This is not balance in a mechanical sense, but in a living one, like walking a tightrope where every step requires awareness. And ultimately, all of these practices feed into the greater journey of individuation. Jung described it as the adventure of a lifetime, the slow, patient process of integrating all the parts of yourself into a whole. It means no longer splitting your identity between acceptable and unacceptable, light and dark, inner and outer, but learning to embrace them as one. Individuation is not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming real. And it is deeply practical. It may look like setting aside time each day for reflection, for journaling, for meditation, or for therapy. It may mean having honest conversations with yourself about where you've been living a lie and where you are ready to live in truth. Every small act of alignment is a step closer to your true self. And here is the paradox Jung understood. When you begin to live from that place of wholeness, your outer life often transforms as well. Relationships deepen, creativity flows, confidence emerges, not because you force them, but because you stopped pretending and started living from the center of who you are. That is the secret to unlocking your true self. Not to run from the shadows, not to get lost in dreams, not to hide behind the persona, but to integrate all of it into the life you are meant to live. It is not the easiest path, but it is the only one that leads to authenticity, and the privilege of a lifetime, as Jung said, is to become who you truly are. In the end, we arrive at the heart of what Jung was trying to teach us. His secret was never just an abstract theory locked away in psychology textbooks. It was, and still is, a personal invitation for each of us to begin an honest journey inward. The discovery of the true self is not about becoming someone new, but about stripping away the noise, the masks, and the expectations, until what remains is whole, authentic, and deeply real. Remember, you can spend a lifetime searching outside yourself for meaning, chasing it in success, relationships, or recognition, but the truth has always been waiting within, and every step you take toward understanding yourself is also a step toward freedom, the kind of freedom that no one can give you and no one can take away. So the real question is, what about you? Have you begun your own journey to discover your true self? I would love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. And if this message resonated with you, if you find value in exploring ideas that go beyond the surface and into the depths of what it really means to live authentically, then don't forget to subscribe. That way, you'll stay connected to this community and to the conversations that matter most.